Is Kansas City the perfect place to live? I don't know. I don't think there's really a perfect place, but it sure is a good one. I have 10 reasons why I love calling Kansas City home, and so does Taylor Swift. I'm Rachel Kilmer. I'm a real estate agent licensed on both sides of the state line here in the Kansas City metro, and I'm basically a lifelong Kansas Citian. I made the decision to move back here after moving around a bit in my early 20s because I love this community, and I think that you might too. Let's jump in. Reason number one, why living in Kansas City is great, and it's a reason a lot of people are moving here. It is our thriving job market and economy. Kansas City is a hub for areas like tech, which I think a lot of people wouldn't even think about, but we have a ton of tech. We have a lot of healthcare, a lot of finance jobs, and there are all kinds of companies that are headquartered here in Kansas City. We have a huge Panasonic battery plant going in. Garmin is headquartered here. We have Oracle headquartered partially out of Kansas City. Tons and tons of different companies call Kansas City home. There's the Kansas City Startup Village, which is great for entrepreneurship, and tons of national companies that are looking to recruit people right here into Kansas City. There's a lot of engineering jobs, architectural jobs. I think people don't realize how many companies love putting major offices and even headquarters in Kansas City. And a lot of that has to do with affordability, which is reason number two, that calling Kansas City home is awesome. Kansas City is very affordable when it comes to living in a city, a major metropolitan area. Compared to other big cities like maybe Chicago, Denver, even parts of St. Louis, Kansas City is really affordable. And that's not only in the cost of housing, which is a huge factor, both in terms of rent and homeownership. Kansas City is much more affordable than many of the comparable cities. It's also just literally the cost of living, like the cost of groceries, the cost of gas, the cost of getting around, going out to eat, doing your thing is much more affordable, and your dollar stretches a lot further here. If you're a real numbers nerd and want to really dive into this, I have a previous video you can go watch where I get all into the cost of living in Kansas City and even the differences between the Missouri side and the Kansas side. Number three, another reason that people love living in Kansas City, and I agree with that, is our vibrant arts and music scene. We have literally a historical jazz scene. There are some jazz clubs that have been around for a long time and have some really historic roots in kind of creating jazz music to be what it is today. There are tons and tons of performance groups here. We have the Kansas City Opera, the Kansas City Ballet, the Kansas City Symphony, and many of them perform at the Kaufman Center for Performing Arts. We also get a lot of touring musical theater groups putting on musical productions like, off-Broadway shows. We also have a dinner theater restaurant which puts on awesome productions. There's First Fridays in the Crossroads where you can view art from local artists. The Crossroads Arts District in general is a great place to take in the art scene. We have the Plaza Art Fair every fall. There's all kinds of festivals that happen like in neighborhoods, like music festivals on front porches and things like that. So there are growing art scenes even further out from downtown Kansas City. Like Lee Summit has its, I think it's a third Thursdays maybe, their art festival. Lots of that going on all around Kansas City. The fourth reason that living in Kansas City is fantastic is the food scene. And if you're familiar, you know that Kansas City has literally world-class barbecue. Do not come at me, Texas. Do not come at me, Tennessee. Kansas City is where it's at when it comes to barbecue. Incredible. There's so many great spots. I could just go on and on about that. In fact, I have a whole nother video about that. So if you are hungry for some facts about barbecue, go check out this video. But our culinary scene does not stop there. Kansas City has so many other kinds of restaurants. It has Americana. It has lots of diverse cuisines. It has some upscale, trendy places. It has your old classic steakhouses, everything in between. Kansas City is really a slept-on foodie city for sure. The fifth reason that living in Kansas City is so great, and this one is near and dear to my heart, it is our sports culture. Kansas Cityans are crazy about sports. Even if you're a Kansas Citian that doesn't like sports, you still own some red for the Chiefs. You still own some blue for the Royals. You still own some teal for the Current. We love our teams here in Kansas City, especially the Chiefs right now because they are having such a moment. They are doing so well. And of course, we have one of the biggest pop stars in the world that is a fellow Chiefs fan at the moment. So the sports scene could not get bigger. But even down on the lower levels, the local colleges, we have some local kind of minor league teams. Really, there is a ton to do if you're a sports fan here in Kansas City. And the tailgating scene at especially the Chiefs and the Royals games, unmatched. The The sixth reason living in Kansas City is so great is our beautiful parks and outdoor activities. And I know this one, if you are watching this from Denver or from, Boise, Idaho, you may be looking at me going, really, Rachel, really, the outdoor scene? Okay, we don't have mountains, we don't have beaches, but we do have lots of parks. We have a lot of green space, and we even have a river, the Missouri River, and I think a lot of people forget that the river even exists, runs right through the city, but that's an up and coming trail around there. They're trying to develop all of that green space and make the riverfront a huge deal here. There's parks like Luce Park, which is really great to go put a hammock up and read a book or have a picnic. Shawnee Mission Park in Kansas is massive, has a great dog park. In Lee Summit, you have kind of Lake Jacomo, Blue Springs Lake, all of those areas where you can kayak and paddleboard. Trail runners all across the metro, including the Indian Creek Trail. There's bike trails. The Katy Trail is a really famous one. So if you are someone that is into getting out and about and moving your body and getting some fresh air, trust me, there are plenty of places to do that all around Kansas City. The seventh reason that people love living in Kansas City is the school districts, and many of the suburbs specifically are nationally ranked. There are national news outlets that are always giving nods to Blue Valley School District, which covers most of Overland Park, Blue Springs School District, Lee Summit School District, Park Hill School District. Those are districts that are constantly making national lists and rankings. Even some of the districts that are less praised by the national outlets are beloved by locals for many reasons. I have some friends that love KC Public Schools because they love the neighborhood feel of sending their kids to a school with their neighbors' kids and kind of in their area. I have people that love the small town districts that would never get big ratings, but they just love the community feel of it. So schools for people with kids are a big reason why they move to Kansas City, and even more specifically, why they pick where they live in Kansas City. And so that is a really important reason. The eighth reason that people love living in Kansas City is the cultural diversity, which this is another one that you might be looking at me like, are you serious right now? But trust me, it's a thing, and it's growing. There are all kinds of heritage festivals that Kansas City hosts to kind of empower people from different ethnic groups. We have a Mexican Heritage Festival, an Irish Heritage Festival. With Juneteenth, there's a parade and all kinds of different celebrations around that. Lots to do to enjoy different types of foods around Kansas City and experience diversity through cuisine. If cultural diversity is something that's really important and interesting to you, then there are all kinds of tools online where you can research different neighborhoods and make sure that you're in an area where you can experience all kinds of different kinds and enjoy all that the world has to offer. The ninth reason that living in Kansas City is so great is there are some really awesome walkable neighborhoods. And what I mean by that, areas where your house is just a few steps away from shops and restaurants and things to do. Brookside is a huge one. Man, it is so quaint and cute. Brookside is, it is adorable and super convenient to get to all that, the kind of downtown Brookside has to offer. Westport has all kinds of shops, restaurants, historic charm. Also a ton of nightlife, but even if you're not a nightlife person, Westport during the day is like a whole different vibe, and there's lots to do there as well. Downtown Lee Summit is really popping off. Downtown Overland Park, there's a little Liberty Square. All of those areas have kind of walkable districts. The city market, the river market area of Kansas City, and then the streetcar running through kind of the heart of downtown city has created a lot more connectivity. So even if you live a couple miles south of there, you can hop on the streetcar and get there without having to actually drive in a vehicle. The 10th reason that living in Kansas City is so great, I think people don't think about enough, and that is our central location. Being located right in the middle of the continental US means there are tons of places that you can drive to for a day trip or even for a short weekend road trip. And then our airport, all of our flights are really convenient. Like really, even if you're going to the farthest northwest corner or the farthest southeast corner of the states, finding a flight that is longer than 3.5 hours is almost a challenge. Like our flights to places are really pretty convenient and easy. And they just built a new airport terminal, so it's gotten even more pleasant to fly in and out of Kansas City. So these are my personal top 10 reasons why living in Kansas City is so great. I could really go on and on though. If you want to hear more about life in Kansas City and find out if it makes sense to you or not, go ahead and reach out. If you go to the link in my bio, there's a little option to book a meeting with me where we can hop on Zoom, grab a cup of coffee, and talk about all things Kansas City. Until then, I'll see you next time right here on YouTube. Bye.